Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for My WIT Radio, brought to you by Women in Technology. Now here's your host, Tricia Stezzi.
Good morning. This is Tricia, your host of Women in Technology, and I'm so happy to be here for our August show, even though we're coming to you virtually instead of from our normal live in-office conversation. It's still going to be really lively and engaging. I'm super, super excited to share this guest with everybody today. This is going to be a really inspirational topic, something I think we all could use right now. We're all really busy and extra stressed. And I think and today we're going to get some great tips on how to support ourselves in getting through this crazy time. I know for me, today's the first day of school for my fifth graders. So it's just another example of everything's different this year and we're making it work. So far, so good. Today we'll be, talking through some tips. And like I said, our speaker is Kim Becking, and she is just a fantastic inspirational speaker. I'm going to give you a little bit about her bio, and she's going to give you some background about her story. First, let me just quickly introduce myself. My name is Tricia Stezzi, and I am your host today for Women in Technology. I'm also the CEO of Significance. We unleash potential through the power of purpose. I'm also the director of the WIT forums, and I'm so excited to let you know that our guest for next week's Wednesday morning WIT forum is Kim Becking, our guest here today. So you get a little taste of what's coming next Wednesday. We'll go deeper into this awesome topic. So you can find about how to register on mywit.org. We'll remind you again at the end all about that. With that, let me give you a little intro about Kim, and then we'll kick off this conversation. So Kim Becking is a change and leadership expert. She's an impactful motivational speaker. She's an executive coach. And most importantly, she's a Thin Mint addict. You heard it here first, people. Her mission today is to help you build a momentum mindset and to ditch that overwhelm, conquer change, and boost your resilience no matter what is thrown at you. So as a leading thought leader on resilience and thriving in the midst of change, Kim's expertise has been featured in national media such as People, the New York Times, and Good Morning America. Kim has conquered the ever-changing tough worlds of business, government, and politics as an attorney, public affairs, and political consultant, and communication strategist for over 2 decades. She's also conquered breast cancer and other life challenges and changes. So like all of us, Kim wears many hats. She's a successful serial entrepreneur, a breast cancer survivor, a community activist, and the mom of 3 teenagers in a blended household. Kim's been on the front lines of helping women break barriers and shatter glass ceilings for decades in the boardroom, the courtroom, and all levels of government. Kim's learned that you don't have to be a superwoman to be successful. You just have to be your imperfectly perfect self. And that's what we're going to talk a lot about today. Kim is a smart cookie, smart enough to know that recovery is important, and she's happily now a recovering attorney and a recovering political consultant. Her message in the midst of the uncertainty that we're all facing is needed now more than ever. And we are so excited to have her here to share this with you today. Right before we dig into this, I just want to remind everyone about WIT's amazing mission, which is to empower girls and women to excel in science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math. So empowering girls and women to excel in STEAM from the classroom to the boardroom. So with that, I want to officially invite Kim to join us, and welcome, Kim. Can't wait to chat with you today. And to get us started, could you give us a little bit of context about your background? We just shared a bunch of your awesome accomplishments. But I love your story. Maybe that's a great place for us to start today.
Sure. Good morning, Tricia. Good morning, everyone listening out there. And I'm excited to be here this morning. As Tricia shared a little bit of my background, I'm a recovering attorney and a recovering political consultant. I'm in lots of recovery programs. I also truly am a Thin Mint addict. That has been my go-to during quarantine, which is now, I'm now, I think it's quarantine. The 10 pounds I've gained through all of this. But 18 years ago was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 30. And then, kind of through my experience, divorced 10 years ago, remarried a widower with 2 kids. So we're a blended family, blending while mending, as I say. And left the practice of law to start my own public affairs and communications company about 20 years ago. And then started through my breast cancer journey, started speaking. And I realized that there was a whole nother world out there where you could actually share your message and get paid for that. And it was an actual business, which I had no idea. So then I started doing motivational speaking and executive coaching and, really helping not just women, but across the board, but have focused a lot on women in really trying to break those glass ceilings. And I've worked in, because of the legal piece and the political piece, I've worked in a lot of male dominated industries and trying to get more women at the table. And through my work over the last 18 years, we have really focused on helping people build that momentum, what I call momentum mindset. Which means that we have to keep moving forward no matter what we're faced with. So I talk a lot about conquering change and boosting resilience, and have been talking about that for decades. And now it's more important than ever in the middle of everything that 2020 has brought us.
I know it's so insane right now. Everybody is talking about 2020. Like, can we just skip over the next half of it and just or do like a redo or something? So yeah, this is going to be fantastic because I know that you're going to share some tips that people can really put right into action right now. I love that. So maybe a great way to start then in digging into that topic would be to say, since everyone's facing all of this change in their careers and their parenting responsibilities and all the things, what's the first thing you need to know when dealing with unexpected change and uncertainty that's surrounding everyone right now? So what's that one thing?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, whether we all realize it or not, we've been dealing with change our whole lives. But the difference is, change we choose, we're typically okay with. Change that is forced upon us or that is unexpected becomes more difficult, right? Because we resist and we don't want to accept what is. So the key initially is to even acknowledge all of the change that's happening and really accept what is. To feel whatever it is you need to feel, to give yourself that permission, to realize that we right now are going through transformational change at every level. Right? It's the individual level. It's our families. We're crisis schooling. I don't even call it homeschooling. I call it crisis schooling, right? Yeah. We're crisis schooling. We're trying to learn how to work from home. We're all dealing with different things ourselves. And then we look at our community. And then we look at our workplace. And then we look at the world and how everything has changed. So it's this collective loss, this collective grief, this collective change that we're going through. And we have to learn how to, really be aware and accept and acknowledge where we're at and give ourselves that permission. And then as a part of that, also remember that we have a choice. And there's no right way to do a pandemic. Let's just say that, it's, I have friends and, they've created these masterpieces or written a new book. And I was trying to figure out how to make sure my 3 kids were okay. And my dad had some health issues and had to have quadruple bypass. And so I had to go help my parents for a couple of weeks during all of this. We're each, and as I say, we're all in the same storm, but we're not all in the same boat.
Right.
And so
right.
we have to really acknowledge that ourselves. And then as a part of that awareness and acceptance of everything we're dealing with and giving ourselves that grace, it's also focusing on what we can control. And we call it this locus of control. What are things right now that you do have the power to control? And then let go of all of those things that you can't, because we all feel so overwhelmed and there's this anxiety right now. Right. Even the back to school discussion. And, I don't know, should I choose virtual option or should I send my child in person? Like, I don't know what to do. I mean, there's just so many decisions and so many things that we don't have control over. So we have to focus on what we can control. And what I call it resigning as general manager of the universe.
I love it.
It's letting go of all of the things and all those things that are weighing us down right now that we don't have control over it, even though we want to.
That's a great way to think about it. I love that because it's kind of giving yourself a little space to say, look, these are not normal times. And then, but not just saying that and then kind of sitting on the couch and just like going into paralysis mode. It's like, okay, this is not normal times. And what action steps should I prioritize, or what can I do to actually like help myself get through this? So I love that tip. Like, okay, maybe even like write down a list of like, okay, all these things are worrying me, but where's the place I can take an action today? Or
Absolutely. Yes. And make a list, like literally write down what are all those things right now that you need to let go of that you can't control. And then make a list of things that you do have the power over. We have a choice. And so, it's what I call finding the certain in the middle of uncertainty.
That's a great tip.
And so, seriously writing down those things and then, letting go of those things that we just simply can't control.
I feel like that could be such a great sort of personal care exercise where you could kind of look at each area of your life and do that. And maybe like make some kind of, if you're into that kind of thing, could be some ritual, like trash it and throw it out or burn it. Or,
and we do that. Absolutely. No, I have everyone when I'm with live audiences, right? I actually have them. I have a half sheet of paper and it says, let it go at the top. And everybody writes down things that they're going to let go of or things that are holding them back. And they literally throw it. They literally wad it up and throw it, right? Or burn it. Yes.
I'll tell you what, I feel like it might be really cathartic to throw it at someone. I'm kidding.
Yes.
I love it. No, that's fantastic. I love this, how you give some really practical tips, because it's like, I think we know we're in the overwhelm, but then it's like, then what? And so, I can just feel doing that would just release a lot of pressure. And then you can actually feel a little lighter and moving forward in what you can, address. So that's awesome. So you talked about momentum mindset. That's a great term. Can you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. And we hear a lot, and particularly right now, a lot about resilience and a lot about, a lot of people think of resilience, they think of bouncing back, but I don't want you to just bounce back. I want you to bounce forward, stronger and better than before. So what are the lessons that we can learn from this? And we may not be able to see all the lessons right now, but they're there. Yeah. And as a part of that, it's really understanding, there are going to be, even beyond 2020 and everything that it's brought, right? There are going to be hard. There are going to be things that challenge us with our careers. There are going to be things that challenge us at home. And, we get to decide. We have that choice on how we're showing up. And so you're really building that momentum mindset means you keep moving forward. Some days it may even be one little baby step, right? Yeah. It may not be a giant leap. It may be one baby step, but you keep moving forward no matter what. And it's what I call gritting up, not giving up, right? Like it's like putting on our big girl panties and we keep moving forward. Now that doesn't mean we don't give ourselves the space and grace to take care of ourselves or to pause. I believe strongly from a resilience standpoint, there's power in the pause. There's power in taking a break and taking care of yourself. And that's an important piece. That's not what I'm saying with momentum mindset, but we still have to keep moving forward no matter what we're being faced with. And whatever that looks like for us. Again, that's where we have to also stop the comparison and what does that look like for us?
That's really powerful. That I relate to that a lot because I'm very focused on purpose. And so everyone has their own, path or journey. And so when you talk about a baby step, whatever that is, as long as it's moving a little bit forward on that path, then that's a win. And
right.
So I love your momentum mindset, and you can apply that in so many ways. And so when we talked before, you also had some great tips about momentum busters. So that seems like something to keep in mind. We're saying, okay, yes, I want to be a momentum mindset person. How do I avoid, these gotcha moments?
Yeah. And busters, those are the things that are keeping us stuck. Those are the things that are holding us back. Those are the things that are keeping us up at night. I always ask when I'm working with my coaching clients or, other folks, I always ask, what's keeping you up at night? What's holding you back from reaching your full potential and showing up as your best self? And there's always usually 4 or 5 key things that's holding all of us back, whether we realize it or not. One of those big things is fear. And now more than ever, right? So it's and I always say it's that false evidence appearing real. And so I have a whole exercise of taking people through their own fears and what that looks like and how they can kind of unleash that, right? The other big one, particularly for women, is our own inner bullies.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
I always say we have to slay our inner bully. My inner bully's name is Edna. I think we have to name them because by naming them, it takes away their power. And we all have that self-doubt. We all have self-sabotage and, that we do to ourselves. And so often we are our own biggest enemy.
I love that you named it because that and you have such great humor in your talks and everything. And that makes me think of, I can kind of imagine you going, Edna, get back in the closet, get away from me. I can kind of see how that could be fun instead of more stressful.
And you take away their power.
Yeah.
Take away their power. So, that inner bully is a huge piece in the self-doubt. And then other people, other people are often a momentum buster. The negative, what I call drainers, that just suck the energy right out of the room. And right now, we're seeing that play out a lot online. And because it's really important as you think about moving forward, as you think about taking care of yourself, as you think about how do you boost your resilience, a big key to that is protecting your energy. And as a part of that, those drainers or those negative people, which are those momentum busters, you have to protect your energy now more than ever. Because we're all grieving. We're all on this roller coaster. And so, what does that look like for you? What does that mean from setting your boundaries? Or, I use the snooze people on Facebook for 30 days.
That's a good one.
I just put people in timeout for 30 days. And
I love that.
Or are there things that just aren't serving you and aren't feeding your soul and that you need to unsubscribe from or delete or limiting your news intake? Very early on in this process, I assigned my husband as my news reporter because I'm very well read. I always try to read the news and watch the news, but it was just so much negativity for me that it wasn't working for me.
Right.
And so I had to set those boundaries with myself. And
so smart.
So for each of us, it's thinking about those other people or those other things that are draining our industry and, draining our energy and being mindful of that.
Kind of like you said, the inner bully is what's draining you from inside. And then this, this other group is what's draining you from outside, the other people, other sources. So kind of doing a, inventory.
Yep. Absolutely.
I love it. So so we hit all those. Sorry, I know I interrupted your thought process there.
No.
I could really relate to that one. It was like, okay, there's all these different areas to kind of think about. One thing that you said that it made me think of, I have a really amazing speaker named Ashley Jones, and she speaks about grief and how to kind of handle it, which is something obviously, like you said, we're all going through. And when you mentioned fear, she talks about how, like, neurologically in our brains, you're either dealing with something with your reptilian brain, or or you're not. And so if you're in fear, you can't be like in this other space of like love. So it's
right.
Where are you at the time? So if you're in fear, then it's kind of a good time to take a pause so you're not kind of living through that lens. So
right.
I think you were both kind of talking it to that point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always say, don't stop because of fear, move because of love.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. I love that.
And so often, we let the fear and the worst case scenarios and the what ifs, and we're all guilty of that. And I think right now it's really easy to go down that path.
Yeah.
Because there's so much negativity. And again, we're dealing with this change and this loss and this collective grief at levels that none of us have ever experienced before. And we're all going through it together.
Yeah. True. So that's one good thing. We should be able to have a little empathy and compassion, because we can just know everybody's reacting differently and going through this hard time, and kind of give people a little bit of a break.
Yeah. And giving them that grace. And this is where emotional intelligence, particularly as a leader, comes in, because being able to really understand your people and understand where they're coming from, and recognizing we all are dealing with things differently, and we all have different lives and different things going on, we it's that grace, it's that permission, and it's really allowing ourselves, going back to what I said at the very beginning, that awareness and that acceptance, and allowing us to feel what it is we need to feel.
Yes.
And realizing that we're all going to have good moments and bad moments. And sometimes we're going to have those at the same time. And that's a part of this collective grief and collective loss that we're all dealing with. And so many have never experienced this. Right.
And so are you kind of saying that by actually feeling the different emotions that are coming up right now, that will actually release some of the anxiety and stress and fear?
Oh, absolutely. Because if you bury it, it's not going away.
It actually compounds, I think. It's like the more you try to push it down and hide it, then you get more problems coming up.
Absolutely.
That's really, really great advice. I love
it. And it's making sure that those around you, right? Whether it's colleagues at work, whether it's people you're leading on your teams, whether it's your kids, whether it's your spouse, whether it's, family or other friends, it's really making sure that you're giving them that permission too, to feel. And that's a key, and that's a really a key piece of that momentum mindset as well, is the power of connection and the power of making sure that we have that community, and that we're there for each other right now. I've actually been doing, since all of this started, we're all struggling, right? We've all had, I know I have, we've all had, different moments during this where it's just been so heavy. And so I started doing, I call it text roulette. So I look at my phone every day, and I go to my text, and I I just scroll, like I just let my finger go and scroll. And then wherever it lands, whoever it lands on, 3 people a day I text. And
that's brilliant.
And do text roulette and just check in on them and just say, how are you doing? Anything I can help you with? I love you. I see you. I'm here for you. Just checking in on people and asking them how they're doing. Are you okay?
Yeah. I think a lot of it, and to your point, that's such a brilliant idea, and I'm totally stealing it, is that just knowing someone's thinking about you, it gives you a whole feeling of love and comfort, even if you're not on a 3-hour call with them, or just that little check-in can really be a big pick-me-up.
Absolutely.
And then if they do need something, great. But I think you you're onto something really powerful there. We can all fit that into our day.
Right. And when I used to be with live audiences, back in January, February, which seems like a decade ago at this point.
Yeah.
I would actually have them all pull out their phones and say, you know what, right now I want you to think of one person, whether it's, someone on your team, someone you're leading, a family member, a friend, someone in your life right now. And I want you to text them, and I want you to say whatever you want to say. But just let them know you're thinking of them, because often we're all so busy. Pre-pandemic, pre-2020, we were busy, we were overwhelmed, we were stressed out, we were maxed out, and now it's like that on steroids. Right. And so even before, we would often say, "Oh, how many times have you ever said, oh, let's go have coffee, or let's go have lunch?" And it's 6 months later or a year later, that never happened, right? We have to make the time. We have that power. We're the only one that controls our schedule. And so it's making the time to do that. And particularly right now, we need to be there to support each other. And that makes us better from an employee standpoint, from a leader standpoint, to be more productive, to be more engaged with each other and connected with each other, particularly when we all feel so disconnected right now because we're not physically together. So, it's just those little things that we can do to check in with each other and to stay connected, because connection is the heartbeat of life, and we need each other now more than ever.
You have the best phrases. These are just wonderful sound bites that you could kind of lock into your mind and remind yourself every day. Love's connection is the heartbeat of life. That's amazing. And to add to that, I would just say, the fact that I love the win-win nature of our existence, which, when you do something good for someone else, you feel good. You literally get the good feeling hormones kick in your own brain. So you can kind of think of it that way too. Not only are you caring about someone else, but you will feel better having cared about someone else. So
absolutely. And research shows that, from a resilience standpoint and a mental health standpoint, helping others and giving to others, it helps us as well.
I love that. So this kind of is a natural segue into what you're so good at. Another thing you're so good at, which is helping people with tips on how to stay positive when there's so much uncertainty, so much stress, so much overwhelm. I feel like you shared some of that, but it's how do we keep that top of mind?
Yeah. And I think, I think one of the things right now too is important to recognize, it's that positivity, it's that optimism, but it's also tempering that with reality. Right.
Yeah.
Like my husband and my daughter, they're realists and I'm optimists. So it's, I'm not saying, I'm not being Pollyanna saying, everything's great. And pushing positivity down people's throats. Right. But it is saying, we have the choice, and it's a choice that we make every single day. So, our words, our thoughts, our actions, our attitude, how we show up every day is up to us. So for me, from a, and all of this is backed in research as well, but it's really looking at what is the good, right? It's the power of gratitude. It's every single day, there's always something we can be grateful for, and I think back to when I was going through my cancer and on the days I didn't even want to get out of bed and then after my divorce, there were so many hard days, but there was always something I could be grateful for. And so, it's thinking about it from, it's what I call the stop, shift, and reframe. Because many of our brains, are wired, we have 50 to 70,000 thoughts a day. And pre-pandemic, many of us had a lot of those thoughts were negative.
Yeah.
And now we're getting all of this negativity every single day. And so we have to decide to stop with our own negative thoughts or getting the negativity from the outside world. Shift and reframe to a positive. So I always challenge everyone to have a 3-to-1 positivity ratio. So for every negative thought you have, I want you to think of 3 positive thoughts.
Oh, that's good.
And I started doing that about 10 years ago, and it has changed my life. It really, right? It forces you to, look at life and look at the lens through that practice of gratitude and of joy. And, for many of us, we're like going through the motions of life. We're so busy. This disease of busyness that everybody has, even though right now, we can't really go anywhere. Everybody's still, any clients that I'm talking to, anyone that I'm talking to right now, they feel more overwhelmed and busy than they felt before. Even though they're not going anywhere, right? Because they're learning, you're having to adapt. You're having to learn new ways of working and of homeschooling or crisis schooling your kids, or taking care of your families, or even simple things like going to the grocery store. And if you still are going to the grocery store, so it's all
even on top of that, there's all these protests going. So there's just so much intersectionality of all these things.
I mean, it's the civil, it's the civil, the civil unrest and the fight for racial equality and justice. It's the pandemic itself. It's the economic uncertainty, and then it's the politics. Right.
Yeah.
And it's an election year. And so you have all of those things combined and compounded. And so for so many of us, it becomes really, really heavy. And so we have to choose, to set those boundaries and to focus on the good and find gratitude, to do things every day, even if we can't. I love concerts, right? I miss that. I love traveling. I mean, I travel and speak for a living, right? And I clearly can't on any stages right now. So, but what are those things right now that do bring me joy? What's on my joy list? What's on your joy list? What are little things every day? So music is something for me because I love live music. But right now, every day when I'm working or when I'm in the kitchen cooking or whatever, I listen to music. I love being outside, so I take walks. So it's thinking what's on your joy list.
Adapt.
It doesn't have to be focused on things right now that none of us can do, right? Or the things that we're losing that we miss right now. What are the things in our current environment that you can do that bring you that joy? And
that's
then
a really good tool.
And then making sure that you're taking care of yourself as a part of that too. And, we can't take care of anyone else. We can't take care of our kids. We can't take care of our colleagues, of our family, of our friends, anyone else if we're not taking care of ourselves first. And right now, more than ever, we need that radical self-care. And so what does that look like for you? And making it a practice and a habit every single day.
And maybe that's one of what's on your joy list. I feel like you just gave a couple of tools right there. It sort of went full circle from where you started about awareness. So it's almost like your tool of 3-to-1 positivity to negativity in thoughts, or even in statements to other people, like kind of recognizing that we have this tool at our mind, at our hands at every moment, to say, like, am I doing this? Like, kind of check in for a minute, or check in. Have I done anything on my joy list today? Have I done anything on my self-care list today? And I bet if you just start doing these little things, they really make a difference in how you feel.
Right. And I think, and I truly believe, and again, research backs this up as well, but writing it down makes a huge impact, because some days we may not be in a mindset where we can even think about what we need to do for ourselves today. So I have a self-care toolkit, right? Like I wrote down what are simple things that I can do to take care of myself. And I have it on a little Post-it note, and I have it at my desk, because sometimes for me, one of my big struggles, and particularly now working from home too, right? We're all zoomed out. I mean, how many hours a day are we on Zoom?
Yeah.
Or Teams. Or Teams or whatever it is, while we're trying to deal with the dog and our kids and everyone else that's at home. And, I would go sometimes a whole day without like getting up.
Yep. Been there.
Right. And so like scheduling in your calendar. So my calendar my alarm will go off to make me get up, to make me go have a lunch break, to make me make sure that I'm having a break in between my Zoom calls or my Zoom meetings. And so, for each of us, it's what are those simple tools and those simple things you can do to remind yourself of that and to have that self-care toolkit and that joy list.
Yeah. And I think, again, both of those tools are really also about awareness, right? So like if we're zoned out in our Zoom, we forget, we're not intentionally trying to ignore our bodies or ignore our joy lists. But and in the 3-to-1 thing, I love how it's making you aware of the positive things that actually are there and drawing your attention to it. So I think those tools are really, really powerful, even though they seem easy and small, but I think, they're total like mind shifters. So
right. Well, and we always hear about the big 4 of taking care of yourself, right? Which is getting enough sleep, eating right, exercising or moving your body, and drinking enough water. So for me, for example, I've never liked water. I grew up on a farm. I didn't like the taste of our water. So I never liked water, and I don't like the flavored water. So, but I am forcing myself this year at the beginning of the year in January, I bought this water container that measures my water every day. And so every hour I know where I'm at, and I have to drink 2 of them a day. And so for me, that holds me accountable. And now I've been drinking my water since January. Right. So what are those tools? And we all work differently, and we all have different things that work for us from a self-care perspective, things that relax us or things that bring us joy. So, what's on your list?
Yeah, I love this. Well, this has been fantastic. I feel like there has been a gold mine of actual actionable tips. So I hope everybody tries at least one thing today. Don't put it off. Try something today. See how it feels. Try it again tomorrow or try a new thing. Because I think we owe it to all of ourselves and our families and communities and colleagues to take care of ourselves even more now than ever. I'm so thankful to have you here. Is there any last little tip or bit you'd like to share with us before we sign off? And then, of course, everyone can find you again next week for even more goodness. But any last
I
bits of wisdom?
I think one of the things I want to remind everyone is it's all going to be okay.
Yeah.
We are going to get through this. We are going to come out stronger and better than before. It may not seem like it right now. It doesn't mean we're not going to have bad days or bad moments. But I also want you to think about what's something right now that can ground you in hope, right? I always say, we need to be grounded in hope. So what is something right now that's bringing you hope? Something maybe you could even plan for post 2020, something that you can look forward to, or something that to be true that sets your soul on fire and allows you to still have that hope inside.
Yeah.
Because hope is one of the things that allows us to grit up. It allows us to keep moving forward because we truly believe that there are better days ahead. So that would be, I think, one of the things that I want to leave you with is to find that hope for yourself and what that looks like for you.
Perfect. What a great thing to end on. I love it. Well, thank you so much for spending time with me today. I'm just so thrilled that I get to share you with our audience. And so just let's share with everyone, if anybody out there listening would love to bring you in or learn more about you, they can read, and you can find Kim at her website, www.kimbeking.com. And then I invite everyone to join us. Go ahead and get registered at mywit.org for our upcoming WIT Forum for August, which is next Wednesday morning. We are actually starting off at 8 and ending at 9. However, Kim is so gracious that she has offered to stay after 9 for those that are able to take additional questions, since we always wish we had so much more time for questions. So she will be there. And the title for our WIT Forum is going to be, you do not have to be a superwoman. So I think we could all use a little bit of that. And so I hope to see you there, mywit.org. You can get registered, and we will see you at our virtual WIT forum in August.
Yeah, and Tricia, can I say one thing about that?
Yes, please.
You are not going to want to miss this. So do not wait. Register today. How many of you have been on a boring webinar over the last 5 months? I can see all of you raising your hands right now. Here's what I can promise you. This is not going to be another boring webinar. We are going to engage. We are going to have fun. You're going to be a part of the program. And like Tricia said, I'll stay on afterwards and answer any questions you may have. But don't wait. I can't wait to be with you all next week. We are going to have an awesome time together.
Perfect. I'm so glad you shared that, because I know I have seen the preview. We're going to have fun. Kim's going to be engaging. She is going to make you laugh. She's already made me laugh like a million times. And so we will see you there. It's August 19th, 8 to 9, mywit.org. And thank you all for being here. And we will see you next month on Business Radio X. And thank you, Business Radio X, for having us. We love you.